Hello YouTube, welcome to episode 1 of my career mode on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. So I've actually already started the career mode, but I'm going to do the first solo flight training to kind of go through what to expect from passing the private pilot's license. Hopefully give some people that watch this some tips on flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator. My actual setup, I have a Thrustmaster Hot Ass X, so a joystick and a throttle control, but all the tips I give will be kind of transferable to whatever your settings are. So yeah, it's kind of a brief overview of the first solo VFR flight, and like I say, hopefully it helps some people. So yeah, let's get going. So yeah, on the runway here, so we're going to apply full power. When the airspeed gets to about rotate speed of 55 knots, we are going to gently pull back on the stick, maintain an angle of about 5 degrees until we have got positive rate of climb, and then aim for whatever altitude it tells us. It's normally 1,000 feet above airfield altitude, so we will do that now. Once we apply full power, the plane will naturally tripod to the left because of the rotor, so you want to apply a little bit of right rudder. So as you can see, I'm slow, just gently applying right rudder here, waiting for the airspeed to come alive. So airspeed is alive now. So 55 knots, we'll pull back on the stick. So 55 knots, gently pulling back on the stick. There we go. Aiming for 5,300 feet, and we want to aim for a airspeed of 75 knots for best rate of climb. So if we're above it, we can pull up a little bit. If we're below it, we drop the nose down a little bit. Uh, 300 feet now. Turning left for the crosswind leg. Gently bank the plane to the left. Pulling up on the stick just to maintain that 5,300 feet. Dropping it down if we're raising a little bit. Drop a little bit the throttle off to aim for 2,300 RPMs or thereabouts, which is normally what you want for the Cessnas. So it's asking 5,700 feet. So again, we're going to pull up on the stick. Turn left for the downwind leg. Again, no sudden movements, just nice gentle turns. So we're on downwind now. Asking for 6,000 feet. Again, just pulling up on the stick. Aiming for 75. So if we're going below it like we are now, just drop the nose down a little bit. The nose down again as the airspeed is dropping. So just below 5 degrees. On the left there. Up to get to that 6,000 feet there. We'll drop for 10 degrees of flaps now. When you drop the flaps, your nose will naturally kind of pull up because of the drag on the aircraft. Asking for 80 knots, so I can drop the nose down a little bit. Yeah, 80 knots there. As soon as we get it, we can pull up and trim down, which will kind of maintain that airspeed. once the runway is kind of 45 degrees behind us, we'll start our final turn, and at that point we'll drop altitude to about 5,300 feet. We'll drop altitude by taking out some of the throttle, so you don't just point the nose down, because you will end up speeding up the plane. At this point we will take a little bit of the throttle out, do a nice gentle left hand turn to set ourselves up for the approach. Now if you're just flying traffic patterns on this base leg, is kind of when you want to get your aircraft completely set up. So you want your flaps down if you need flaps, you want your speed kind of set on this base leg, so you're not kind of panicking trying to do it all when you're approaching the runway. The airspeed's coming up, so I'm just going to trim down and pull back. Back on the stick and trim down. Again, a nice gentle turn for the final. But at this point, if you're completely set up in the aircraft, you can focus on just lining yourself up with that runway. Pull up and trim down again just to scrub off some airspeed, take some more of the throttle out. I normally aim for about 1300 RPM. So it depends on runways, the different factors. Taking the throttle out will actually decrease your altitude, which is what you're wanting at this point. I'm kind of putting them two white dots maybe 1.5 inches above the dashboard, pulling back and trimming down a little bit, reduce some of the speed. See, I'm dropping the throttle out, which will gently glide us down. Practically at idle throttle now. The aircraft will fall out of the sky, keeping that line coming between our legs, and at about 20 feet above the runway I'm just going to gently pull back to about 5 degrees, throttle idle, and just glide down onto the runway. Apply brakes. Braking. Don't worry about turning off the runway yet, just make sure you get your speed down before you even think about turning off. Increasing flaps. At this point you can change your trim so it's back to 0 trim. There we go, aircraft is stopped on the runway.
I think a bit more practice may be a good idea.
She thinks a bit more practice may be a good idea, but I thought it was alright. See what score we get after. As you can see, it's got to be better. To be fair, I'm not the greatest at VFR landings, but just a few tips there for you, for anybody struggling with them. And I will see you in the next one.